and document building with 4D Write Pro. Hello, I'm Pat Bensky. I'm the director of Cat-Base Publishing Systems Limited. We've published a product called Cat-Base, which is obviously based on 4D, and it's a data publishing solution to make it very easy for clients to produce catalogs, directories, price lists, or any kind of publication that is data-based. Suppose you've got a database full of data, and you need to produce a nicely formatted document from it. Maybe a catalogue, or a price list, or a service directory. And you want to create a complete publication with a cover page, table of contents, introductory text, order form, terms and conditions page, and back cover, for example. So you don't want to just turn out the catalogue section of the catalogue. You want to produce the entire thing automatically in one shot. So here's an example of a document that has 5 sections. We've got a cover page, an introductory text about our product in this case. Then we've got the body section of the catalogue. So this is the actual data that's produced from your database. Then we've got a terms and conditions section at the end, and finally a back cover. Now, I know I'm not going to win any awards for design here, but this is just to obviously demonstrate what's possible. So how can you make that process quick and simple for non-technical users? These are people who don't know anything about 4D or databases in general. They just want to be able to click a couple of buttons and produce their publication. The answer is using 4D Write Pro and a little bit of programming. So 4D Write Pro. With that, you can do lots and lots of things. You can build documents section by section, add as many sections as you need to the document, specify headers and footers for each section. You can create tables, insert pictures, and then you can save directly to PDF or as an editable Write Pro document. Now, 4D Write Pro is a work in progress, and there are some features that just aren't implemented yet. So this demo that I'm showing you is not a final product. It's just to demonstrate what is possible and what hopefully will be possible in future versions of 4D Write Pro. So a few things that are missing: text columns. You can't specify page columns. There's no table of contents option, and there's no indexing option, and there are a few other little limitations as well. So I'm going to show you how a document is designed using our example doc publisher database. There are 2 main concepts you need to understand in order to work with the doc publisher database. We have publishing styles and we have publishing projects. A publishing style defines the content and the formatting of the body of the document. That's the dynamic content that's drawn from the database. Publishing styles are created by building up the content paragraph by paragraph. So a paragraph is created by adding elements. Each paragraph can comprise any number of elements. So as an example, the catalogue publishing style in the example database comprises 5 paragraphs. First of all, we've got the product name, and that contains 1 element, which is the field product name. Then we're going to have the product code in the next paragraph, which contains 2 elements, some static text that says product code, and the ID number from the database. Then we're going to have a picture, which contains 1 element, a picture. Then we're going to have a description, and finally a parts list, which contains a relation to the parts table, where we're going to produce a table of the parts. So let's see how that looks in the actual database. I'll go to the Publish menu and I choose Publishing Styles. There's our catalogue. And so here we have paragraph 1, the product name, paragraph 2, the product code, and so on. Now, each paragraph has certain settings you can apply to it. So let's double click on paragraph 1. And we can see that we've got the product name, the paragraph name, a style sheet that we're going to apply to this paragraph, And here's an option for creating tables, which we'll have a look at in a minute. We've also added an inactive button here, a checkbox, so that you can optionally just temporarily disable any paragraph. This is great for, when you're testing different scenarios to see how they work out. Okay, so currently we have to create a document template which contains the actual styles for each paragraph. Because currently it's not possible to create paragraph styles on the fly with 4D Write Pro. I hope this will be a feature that will be added quite soon in a new version. So here's an example that shows a document template that's been set up. So these documents are stored, or these templates are stored in the document templates table in CatBase. Let's just expand this and have a look at how it needs to be set up. So let's just switch to the page view mode. Okay, actually it doesn't make much difference. Okay, so let's look at, for example, we've got a few different paragraphs here containing certain text. So let's look at the category heading paragraph, for example. Now, if I right-click on that and go to paragraph, style sheet, select, you can see that the category heading style sheet has been selected and defined. And also, importantly, and it's been applied to this text. Now, importantly, this text that had that style sheet applied to it must contain the name of the style sheet. And this is because when we start to produce our documents, the program is going to open this template and look at those styles and apply the individual styles to the data. So if you want to change the style of any of these paragraph styles, this is how you do it. You select the text, that style, and then you right click on it and you go to your, you choose all your formatting. So let's say I just want to change the color of the category headings from blue to purple. Why not? That's a nice color. And so now to apply that change to the style sheet, again, you right click on it and you go to paragraph and style sheet and you choose update current. So yes, we do. Okay. So that style sheet, category heading, will now have that color applied to the text. So you can make any changes you need to the style sheet that way. All right, so let's just save that. So going back to publishing styles, let's look in a bit more detail at the elements that comprise a paragraph. So each paragraph can be made up of any number of elements of any combination of the 7 different element types. Think of them as like little Lego blocks that you're going to use to build up your publication paragraph by paragraph. So first of all, we've got calculation. So you can say do calculations like tax or currency conversions, or for example, say you want to do a discount catalogue where all the prices are discounted by 10%, you can add a calculation. It will apply that discount at the time of publishing without changing anything in the database. Field, which is obviously just the contents of a field in the database. A picture. Punctuation, such as a tab character. A relation, which includes data from a related table. A rule, to determine what to publish according to criteria you specify, and some static text. Actually, rules are not currently implemented in the current version of the demo database. I will be adding it, so if you want to see how that works, stay tuned and or send me an email and I will let you know when a new version is available. So each element has 3 sets of options, or 3 tabs in the element form. So we've got the basic element information, the type, then we have some preferences we can choose, and then we've got some settings for tables. So let's have a quick look at that in the database. I'll open up my catalog style again, and if I open up product name, double click on the element field. So here we can see we've chosen the element type field, and the field is product name. Under preferences, we can choose a character style, which could be a different style to the main paragraph style. And again, that's not actually implemented in this version of the demo, but it will be. Then we can choose a number format for numeric data and a date format for date data. Here are some other options. Omit the paragraph if this element is blank. So this is a handy option that lets you tell the database that if a particular paragraph doesn't contain any information, or rather if a particular element is blank, then leave out that entire paragraph. Then we've got an index option and a unique group entry option. The index option also isn't implemented just yet, and the unique group entry allows you to organize data in subsets, if you like. So you can group, say, everything by country or state or whatever you want to do, and then you'll just have that the heading for that section once. So if you choose the picture element, go to picture setup, and you can choose the field that contains the name of the image, the picture, and you can set the size. The automatic size option will create the picture in the exact size that the original actual picture is. And you can specify a frame, color size, and so on. And then let's have a look at the text option, element option. So here you can just add some static text. For example, you might put the word price in front of a price. So then we've looked at preferences. Now let's look at tables. So this is where you can specify certain settings for the tables. So you can have a header for the column header, choose the style sheet for the cells, and specify the width of the column and the style sheet for the actual cells, and if you want to, a fill color for the cells. Right, now let's move on to the fun part, which is the publishing project. So, a publishing project defines the sections that will comprise your published documents, plus settings such as the WritePro document template, the page size, and so on. We have implemented 5 section types: a front cover, an introductory text, which can have any number of pages, a body, which is the dynamic content that's created using a publishing style, and end matter, which can be any number of pages, and that could be any. It could be static text, or it could be whatever, and a back cover. Now, you don't have to have all of these sections. The only section that is absolutely mandatory is obviously the body. And you can have multiple body sections. If we have time, I'll show you an example of how that works. So each publishing project must have a minimum of 1 body section. This is the dynamic content from your database. So our example publishing project has 5 sections: front cover, introductory text, the body, end matter, and the back cover. And it also has various settings such as the name of the document you're going to create, the document template you want to use, and the page size. So let's see how that actually works. Publishing projects, catalog 1, and here are our 5 sections. We've got the cover, and you can see as I click on each section, it displays the contents of that section in this window here. Now each document section contains 1 or more objects. So here we've got 1 object, which is an image, and if I look at this section here, which is the body section, you can see I've got 3 objects. We've got a header, the body content, and a footer. Now we've got a drawing program here. We're using the Canvas plugin, which demo version is included in this example. And let's say we want to make some changes here. I'm going to make this section smaller, and I'm going to add a picture. So I right click on the area here, add a new object, and it's going to be a static image. Choose the picture I want to go on there. So let's go to, let's just grab a logo. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get that help button. Here we go, that'll do. And there's our static picture. And obviously, we can resize that. Put it there. Kind of squished it a bit. That's okay. Okay, so that's that object. What other kinds of objects have we got? We've got static image, we've got static text, which we would use in our introductory pages and our closing pages, dynamic content, which is what we've got here, page header and a page footer. Now once you've added an object to the page, you can set up its settings. So let's say, for example, I want to set up this image, double click on that, edit, properties, bit of code there, and here we can see the actual picture, various other options for that. So our cover page is just a picture. Then we've got some text. And let's have a look at this. Now this looks like just plain text, but if I double click on here and go to edit properties, you can see that this is actually a 4D write area which contains formatted text. And obviously this text can be any length you want. It'll automatically create the necessary number of pages. And then we have our body section. So we've got a header and we've got the actual body part. So let's look at quickly the header. And here we've just got a picture. And then for the body itself, here we have selected the publishing style sheet that we looked at earlier, catalogue. Now, number of columns and gutter are not yet implemented, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully that will be available in an upcoming version of 4D Write Pro. And then we have some end matter, and again it's just static text formatted as desired. And finally our back cover, which is a bit boring. It's the same as the front cover. And if we go to the settings tab, here we've got the name of the document we're going to create, which is called catalogue, the document template, so that's the template we were looking at earlier with the styles set up, and the page size, A4 in this case. Okay, so now we've got everything set up to produce our publication. So when we're ready to publish it, go back to the Sections tab here, click on the big Publish Now button, and the publication is being created. So when it's finished producing the PDF, it creates, or it opens a window with the finished product, the finished document selected. So let's see what we've got here. Let's open that. Oh, that's a bit big. All right, so we've got our cover page, and then we've got our introductory text, blah, 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 about 3 pages. And then we get to the meat of the catalogue. So this is our dynamically published data. Here we've got a page heading, and then you can see the information for each product. So we've got the product name, and that's set in a certain style, product code, then the picture that belongs to that product, a description, and then this is the related data. So this is the parts for each product. And you can see that this table is quite nicely formatted. We've selected a style for the cells, a different style for the headers. We've got a nice blue border, and we've specified the column and the row dividers as well. So if we go down, 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 and you can see we've got nice alternate row colouring as well. Down, lots of pages. And then we've got our end matter, and finally the back cover. So in addition to producing the PDF, we've also saved the created 4D Write document in the database. So we'll go to Data and choose Published Documents. Here's a list of all the tests I've done. So the last one is obviously this one. Alright, so here is the actual 4D Write version of the document. Let's go to the page view mode, and now we can see our actual document and how it's all made up. So for example, here's a product name. So if I select that, I can just check, go to paragraph style sheet. So that's set in the style called product name. And again, since this is now a 4D Write document, if I want to change the formatting, I can do that. So I'll say, right, I want the product names to all be set in a different style. So I'll go to fonts and I'll choose, let's find something interesting. Avenir. I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Let's say 18. Okay. And I'm also going to give it a color. Orange, why not? So now I want to apply that style to all the product headings. So again, I'll just right click on it, go into paragraph, style sheet, update current. Yes, and now we can see that all the product names have taken on the modified style. So obviously, since it's now just a 4D Write document, I can make whatever changes I want to it. So for example, this is a bad page break. So I'm going to plop that down there. So let's look at one or two ways that you can control the formatting with 4D Write Pro. So for example, here's a paragraph that's towards the bottom of a page. And if I right click on that paragraph and I go down to paragraphs, I can see that widow and orphan control is not selected. So what will happen is, if I insert something so to make it go on to the next page, we have got an ugly situation where the last line is widowed or orphaned, I forget which one's widow and orphan, at the top of the next page, which is not very nice. So what I'll do is I'll again go into the paragraph and turn widow and orphan control on, and now you see it won't allow individual lines to get left behind. So if I put in another, here we go, so there's now there are two lines on this page, and if I put in another return, it all goes on to the next page so that nothing gets orphaned. And again, I can apply that style, that change to that whole style. So if I right click on there, just check that, yep, widow and orphan control is selected, and I'm going to update the current style, go to style sheet, update current, and that change will now be applied to all of the description text. Another way of managing that problem is to choose the avoid page break inside option. So first of all, I'll turn off widow and orphan control, that paragraph, and then I'll go back to paragraph and avoid page break inside. And now, if I insert a return here, it drops the whole paragraph onto the next page so that the paragraph never gets broken across pages. And in fact, I like that setting better, so I'm going to save it as the default. So I'll go to paragraph and style sheets, update current. So that will now be applied to all the descriptions in the catalogue. So let's have a look at something else we can do. Here's another cool option. We can say we want to apply a background color to the paragraph. So I go again to paragraphs, down here, background, background color. Let's make it something really tasteful like Turkish blue. And so now we've got a background color applied to the product headings. And again, we can save that setting, paragraphs, a style sheet, update current, and all the product names now have that beautiful blue background applied to them. Another cool thing you can do is add various other effects such as a border. So let's quickly look at that. Go to paragraph and borders. So let's say I want a border all the way around, and our style is going to be dashed. There we go. Isn't that lovely? All right, so let's have a look at some code. Jump into design mode and close that window. Okay, so here's our structure. So we've got our two data tables, products and parts. And now, publishing projects. Let's have a look at publishing styles first. So publishing styles, we've got the actual publishing style settings, the paragraphs that comprise each style, and the elements that comprise each paragraph. We've got, let's see, we've got templates. This is our document templates. Published documents, that's the documents that have been produced. Character styles, paragraph styles, various basic settings, just the current version, for example. And what else have we got? We've got separate tables for the different settings. So, for example, for calculations, for picture specifications, and so on. And then, obviously, the publishing projects. So there are the basic settings for the project. The document sections, obviously many-to-one relationship there. And the section objects. So these are the objects that go into each section, and these are the sections that comprise each publishing project. Now when you click on the Publish Now button, it opens a method called Publish Now. Okay, so what happens here? First of all, it checks to make sure there is at least one section in the project. Then it opens a spinning wheel progress. Now, it picks up the document name. This is the document that's going to be created from the publishing projects table. Export the header. We'll come back to that in a minute. And then it finds all the sections and publishes those one by one. Actually, we found them up here. We sorted them by their sort order, and we now loop through publishing each section, and at the end we close out the document. So let's have a look at these individual sections. Export header doc. Okay, so this is the bit that actually creates the 4D write object. So here we go, creates the object from our template content. Here we look at the template and find out what styles have been set up in it, or paragraph styles have been set up in that template. And it creates a record in our paragraph styles table for each new style that it finds. And it applies the font sizing and styling and so on based on the way that the style has actually been set up in the document template. Okay, so now what we're going to do is delete any existing text that's in the document template. So that's what that does there. And now we're going to set up some attributes. Here we've just selected the unit as pixels. That's what we always work in, but you can choose a different one if you want to. This document, okay, orientation. This actually isn't working at the moment, so I'll just gloss over that. And now we can set other options such as the document size, the page view mode, And then we get into initializing the arrays that we're going to use. These are the ones that are going to be used for creating the table styles. So that's the document header and setup. So now we're going to loop through our sections. All right, so now we get to the really meaty part, which is publishing the sections. So we've got 5 sections in this example. So let's see what happens inside publish section. So first of all, we find the related objects for each section, and then we just loop through those and do whatever's necessary to produce them. So, for example, for the header, we're going to find that header object, a section object, and if there's more than one, then it opens up that header as an individual document, and then it inserts that into the section. If it's a footer, likewise, find the section object, open it up, insert it into the document, into the specified place. Oh, right, let's have a look at this create range, WP create range command here. So all bits, all parts of a Write Pro document can be defined as ranges. So a range could be an individual word, it could be a paragraph, it could be the whole document, it could be a footer, it could be a whole section. So you create ranges by selecting the part of text that you want. So in this case, we've selected the whole part, all of the contents of this header document, start and end, and we've created a range called range header. And then we insert that range header into the existing document that we're building. Okay. Likewise, footers, right? Images. Again, we find the image. We look to find that image in its file path, and then we insert that, and so on. So here's some static text. Table of contents not implemented at the moment, and now we get to the dynamic area. So we open up our project step. Right, so now we're going to go through our publishing style. So first of all, we choose the publishing style, find the publishing style that belongs to that section object. Now we find the table that we're publishing. We create a pointer to the table we're publishing based on the selected table for that publishing style. In this case, we're finding all records and we're going to publish them. Obviously, you might do something different. You might select a certain selection of records or data that's in a particular category or whatever. And also, in this case, we've only got 2 tables, 2 data tables, products and parts. So we're just simply sorting them according to which table has been specified. But you might want to do something a bit more dynamic than that. And then we create various arrays to keep track of different information as we go along. Now we're going to find the paragraphs that belong to the top level of the publishing style. So when I say top level, I mean that's the basic level. In this case, we're going to start with products, and then we go to a secondary level, which would be the related parts table. So we're at the top level at the moment, so the paragraph level is 1, and we're going to make sure they're not inactive, and then we're going to sort them according to their order, and we'll then loop through those. We go, paragraphs, first record paragraphs. So now we're going to loop through the paragraphs and find out what we need to publish for each paragraph. So let's see what goes on in there. There we go. So we're going to find the elements that comprise that paragraph and sort them. And we'll loop through those elements and determine what type of element it is, and based on that, how we're going to publish it. So let's say our element type is a field, then we get the field pointer, and then we add the contents of that field to the element text. Now this types method here looks at the contents and does various formatting and other options. So for example, if it's a number, it's going to create the number format, whether you've specified it's in it's the real or decimals or whatever. Same with date, time, and so on. I'm going to go into a lot of detail there on that one. Okay, so that element text has been created, so that's the contents of that element. And then if we've selected the omit the paragraph if this element is blank option, then we set a flag that says don't include this paragraph at all. So now we've got static text. Again, that would be our static 4D write text. So a relation, we'll come back and have a look at that in a moment. The relation will grab the related data, in this case the parts data, and create a table from it. Well, it doesn't have to create a table, but that's what we're doing in this case. Then we've got punctuation, so tab character, return character, whatever. Picture, going to export pictures and create them in the size and position that's specified in the publishing style. And then finally that data gets added to the paragraph. We also, here we go, oops, at the bottom here, if we're including the paragraph, then we add a new line and we get the current offset of the document. About the offset, so basically when we added the text to the document, so that's our document object, that's the data or the text that we're adding to the document, and the offset is the position that we're going to insert it. So after we've added any paragraph or element, we're going to get the current offset, so we know that next time we're going to just add on to the end of it, the end of the document. Also, let's look at the range again. So we added the text of the paragraph at the current offset point, and now we get the plain text and we create a range based on the offset, the current offset, which is where the last paragraph ended, and add on the length of the current text and add 2 to that. So that range is now the paragraph that we've just created. And then we're going to apply, so we're going to create a paragraph range from that. And now we're going to set the style sheet attribute for that paragraph. So here we say WP set attributes. So that's our paragraph range, which is the paragraph we've just added. And we're going to apply a style sheet to it. And the style sheet is the style sheet that's specified in that paragraph. And we then get the new offset to use for the next paragraph. So we've looped through our sections and the paragraphs within each section, and then we come to the end of the document. So here we go. So here we go, export document end. And what happens in here is that we create the path name to save the actual document. If it already exists, we delete it. So first of all, we're going to save our document into our published documents table. So we just create a new record, put the actual content in there. So that's our WP doc object. So that gets saved into the document content, and save that, unload it. And then we're going to also print the whole thing as a PDF. So we set print option, and that's the orientation. And then the destination is a PDF. That's what the number 3 means. Use the page setup and print it, and finally show it on disk. So there we go. That's the basics of producing complete documents using 4DWrite Pro. Thanks for being here, and I hope you found it interesting.
Hi, you mentioned up front that there were no text columns, I think. Is that because you're not using the latest version, or the text columns only come in V17 that we've seen here at the summit?
Yeah, text columns were just released, hot off the press, in V17, and I was looking at them earlier today, actually. Let's see, can I show my screen? Can you see it now?
Yeah, they can see it.
Right, okay, yeah. So this is one of the demo databases for V17 that I was just looking at earlier today. So, for example, here we go. So here's a document with 2 columns, and you can change the number of columns. So now we've got 3. Change the spacing, and you can put a separator down the middle between the columns, color it, and do all kinds of groovy stuff like that. So that's I haven't really had a chance to play with that yet because I just got it today. But that's certainly a major, important new feature. In fact, this is the main feature that's been holding me back from actually deploying this 4DWrite Pro solution. So, of course, V17 hasn't actually been released yet, but hopefully it will be before too long.
Okay, that seems like that's all the questions. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you, Pat.
Okay,
And,
thank you.